Well, I've taken a break from the OO gauge layout this week to work on the boys' N gauge layout. It really needed some bridges, so I've built these structures to help his trains get around the bay. So this week I am taking a break from the OO gauge build, just so I don't sort of lose my mojo with it and get a bit fed up that it's just baseboards at the moment. And I'm going to concentrate a little bit on the boys' N gauge, mostly the bridges. As you can see, the railway currently has no bridges. I have taken what was the foam board cutouts away and have started work on them. So I'm going to do the bridges. I'm also going to concentrate on these platforms and probably to do something with those harbour walls that are currently not attached. Other things to do on this layout is sort out the track work. We've been having a few running sessions and found a few problems. Trains stall here for some reason, not quite sure why. And I may have to just adapt this point so the frog just remains powered. I'll investigate that one. Annoyingly, the point motor on this point doesn't work, which is the most essential one because that has been adapted for the Electro Frog. So currently you have to put your hand underneath and switch the blade with the point motor to make sure that you get the contact. This signal box has been pushed into the sea, as has that troublesome truck. So there's a few jobs. We've played around with the fiddle yard. Things seem to be behaving. If we run Mallard through Middle Road, it seems to be okay. So the fiddle yard might just stay as it is for now, but we shall see.
Right, well, it's been a while since I've been modelling in the garage, really, or the model room. So, bridges for the boys' layout. Well, I actually have built one already. So this is using the foam base that went bridging between the two baseboards, and I've built around that with some plastic card buttresses. So this is plain white plastic card, and then I've got the ratio brick plastic sheets and just cut that to shape. And then these are the Pico bridge girders, upside down. That one's just been trimmed to fit in between there, and then this one has just been widened with an additional section in the middle here. And then to finish it off, I've done some caping stones, and this railing is the guardrail that came off the TT layout that went around the depot. So that's that bridge done. I'm going to prime it up and then look for any obvious gaps that need filling, do that, and then we'll move on to painting that one. But for now, I've got the other bridge to build. So this is the bit of foam that went at the other end, and this bridge is going to be a little bit more trickier. So on the layout, this part sits in the sea, and I've marked out here all over the bay until about here, where it goes over the land where the village or town is. So I am thinking of bridge support here, and then the bridge support here, which then goes into probably an arched bridge here for the cars to pass through. And then around this part, I'm thinking using these N gauge girders. So they need folding around a little bit, but to go around the top of the bridge like that. So that's the plan for that bridge. Right then, company plastic car, glued it together. So I've got one support, and then the two smaller ones that are going to go on the raised bit of land in the town for here. So on this one, which I've now spray painted grey, and also was a bit of a disaster story because I was trying to spray paint its skeleton bone with Army Painter spray, which is excellent paint. However, I don't know if any of you have ever tried using it before. The lid is impossible to remove, and on this occasion it was so difficult to remove it knocked the nozzle off the end. And then I tried putting the nozzle back on. And then I don't know what bit it would be, I suppose the valve then got stuck. And then my hand got covered in paint. And then paint went everywhere and everywhere. And then I had to turn it upside down and just let the can decompress without spraying paint everywhere. So that was good. So it's in Humbrol Grey. Looks all right, and it's just showing you where I need to put a little bit of filler, like in here and here. Anyway, this one, the brickwork is the ratio. I think it's ratio, yeah. Ratio stuff, which is this stuff, the really, really thick stuff. Proper thick, like toffee. So to cut that, I always use one of these, which is a plastic hard knife, designed for that sort of thing. And I always use that way, and it just sort of scrapes a line out, and that's usually the best tool for that. However, for this bridge, firstly because I've run out of that stuff, and secondly because I need to use this up, I'm going to make it like a stonework style. So this is Slater's 3mm, that's for TT gauge, sort of stony brickwork. So I think that would be quite suitable for N gauge. For large stone brickwork, for the supports on the bridge. I'm going to look a bit more seasidey than just using brick. So I'm going to cut this. I don't need that big chunky knife. I'll just use one of these, cut it to shape and glue it all together.
Right, here's the bridge so far, with the two pillars that are going to go over the road, and then I have just super glued some more Pico girder sides. They're upside down and then trimmed to size, and I have tested it with a lorry and it fits underneath, so it's a good height. So the next part is to concentrate on the bit of the bridge that goes over the bay, and I've obviously got this pillar cut, but if I glue that, it's going to take everything out of balance, make things a bit tricky and difficult to work with. So I've just marked out in pencil where the walls are going to go, and then I'm just going to work out what's going to go on the side. As I say, I'm probably going to use these. I'm tempted to do it upside down, but I think if I do it upside down, that's going to sort of restrict the clearance for the boats underneath, even though it does look quite cool that way. But we'll see. Right then, so I've added these trestle girders to the bridge, and I've adapted them by cutting them and shutting them. So I think the join's here on this one, which is quite good. It took me a while to spot that. And then I've just added a bit of plastic micro strip on the top just to strengthen the join. And then the same on this side. The join's a bit more, get me words out, a bit more obvious to spot by the fact there's no bar going across there. I did try and put one in, but I kept cutting it and measuring it, and measure at 18mm, and every time I cut it to 18mm it wouldn't fit, so I made it 17mm. As soon as I made it 17mm, that was it, was too small. It was right pain in there. Anyway, that's the other side. The bit that got too small in the end I just used to weld the two bridge parts together. So that goes like that, and then I've just clamped it all in place. This one feels a bit wonky donkey, bit straight, but kind of how the edge goes. So, but it's holding, so that's the important thing. Yeah, so that's the bridge trestles done. So what I need to do is just finish off these stone walls. I just put in some wall on this side and caping stones, and then I'll just do the same as that one. I will spray it. Oh, I need some railing here as well, and then it's ready for painting. And here is the bridge completed in its build. So I've done all the piers and like the wall, the caping stones, etc. Trestles, I'll have a go at gluing them back in. They do tend to pop out. You see on this side, put little nicks just in around the bottom just to help with the curvature. I didn't feel I needed it as much this side, but it does tend to bend at the weak point, whereas where I've joined them, which is probably why it looks a little bit wonky. But I'm sure I'll coat of paint and it will blend in nicely. This is just, I think it's just like Pico wooden fencing. That's just put on for the railing. So that's all built and ready for a prime. Here we are then, that's both bridges now primed and ready for painting. So as this one's going to be brick, then obviously you have a brick coloured supports, and then the girder, I'm not sure yet. I might go with a dark green or possibly some sort of Great Western colour. I'll have to do a little bit of research there. Then probably the same for that one, but then we'll have stone pier supports, and I will probably keep that trestle grey. And there we are, that's the bridges painted. It was a nice, quick, simple job, to be honest. They need weathering, just to finish things off. So I'm just going to use some rust washes, because you know it's a lot of salty sea air is going to be attacking this metalwork and paintwork, and then just a bit of staining, mostly around the, like this pillar here would need it where the tide mark would go. But otherwise, yeah, they're looking all right. Okay, so the bridges have been weathered, as you can see. And I didn't go massively deep into weathering. It's N-gauge, you never want to go too hard and heavy. It's always about being nice and subtle. So there's just some subtle rust streaking on here, and then just a little bit of grey wash around the bottom where, you know, puddles and rainwater would have been splashed up the wall. And it's the same around here, and then we've got a tide mark down here. So these are just the enamel washes from AK Interactive. So there's the neutral greys, and then I've got a little bit of light rust, not a lot, and then the rust streaks. Don't need too much. Yeah, that's pretty much those bridges done. So whilst I've done 2 railway bridges, I also need to do a road bridge. So I've now built that. That's all been painted up, ready for weathering. And here is the other job I need to do, which is the station platforms. So I've filled them in with the gaps that was on there with this Mr. Hobby dissolved putty, and it's like a liquid in there, and you just sort of scoop it on and paste it in. I usually use like a coffee stirrer or something like that, and then just let it dry. It takes a little while to dry because it's like a liquid. It stinks to high heaven. Honestly, it's awful. But then you sand it down, it comes out quite nicely. So I've still got this one to do. This is how it sort of forms. You put it down and you just rub it down, and that should then take out any gaps. So these platforms are built with the Pico platform sides, and then I'll just use grey plastic card. In this case, but I ran out of the grey, a little bit of white, and then cut them to shape and have then glued these platform sides on. Now to get the curvature, it says you can heat them up in hot water to bend them, but what I actually did was just take chunks out, and that also allows you to then just manipulate the plastic and bend round to the shape. So I'm going to sand this one down, and then I'm going to prime these up and give them a painting as well. Right, so I've primed the platforms and I've just sanded it down, filled in any gaps, sanded it again, and primed it again. So it's all sort of covered. There's a few joins here. I might need to just go back and look over. But otherwise, I'm going to start painting this.
And as it is a layout for the boy, it's always good to encourage him whenever he wants to do something on his layout. Here, he's insisted in helping painting the platforms, and I think he's doing a grand job.
Right, this is the platforms all painted up then, ready to go onto the layout. It took a bit of going. I couldn't get the top surface to look quite right. I started off with this Ammo Rail Centre concrete. Never used these paints before. I bought it yesterday actually at a model shop. Thought I'd just try it out, see what it's like. not a bad paint, and it's a much better colour match than the Rail Match concrete, which is more of a sort of yellowy colour. And I was never convinced that was concrete, but it is useful for other things. So I put a couple of coats of that on, but it looked a bit too plain and sterile and sort of flat. So I tried mixing a little bit of this concrete with that concrete to sort of blend it up. That made it look horrendous. So to tone it down, I used some Rail Match roof dirt and just brushed it on top. It's quite thin and everything was sort of looked very streaky. So I then did a second coat of this and then I just dabbed it on with some sponge. That made it look better, but I wasn't entirely satisfied with it. So this morning I've gone back over it with another one of the concrete, thinned it down and then used the sponge to dab it on. And then whilst that was still wet, I then used rail roof dirt again and just dabbed that on top so they kind of blend into each other. And that's the finished result. It's quite bright because it's reflecting the light, which is just above it, but in real life it looks pretty decent. And then the stonework is just the use of my favourite paints from Life Colour, which is their Diorama series, and that's the blue stone and a little bit of stone wool, just to blend the two together, just to add a little bit of tonage. And I think that's going to look all right on the layout. So, with the platforms painted, the bridges painted, I think it's time to go put all this onto the layout. Right then, I've come to put the bridges on, and the boy has decided to modify the town to sit on the railway. So let's tidy this up and get everything into place. Right then, everything's a bit tidier. The bridges are just roughly in place where they're going to go. So we'll start with the easiest bridge of them all, which will be the road bridge. It's a simple case of, hopefully, slotting that in to the original part. And it goes there. This might be a two-handed job. Right, so I've used two hands and got the bridge in place. I feel that pillar is a little set back. I might just take the bridge up and move that forward just a little bit, not too much, because obviously I don't want to rebuild the whole thing. And I can just set a little bit of scenery there and probably have the bridge to about here. Just a tiny amount. That's just a little job to do. So next is getting the two rail bridges on. Now, obviously the problem here is that when they came out, they were just a piece of foam board, and now they have railing and wall in the way, so they're not going to slot in without me lifting the track up. So I'm going to very gently lift this track up, put the bridge in, and then put the track back in place. Right, so this is the bridge in place. Things are just a little tight on this corner here. I'll just show you. So I have a couple of options. I either chop this down, or what I think I can do is I'm just going to cut a little bit out of here. It's just a bit tight, and then push the bridge that way, and that should make the clearance without affecting this side, which once get that coach round, not an issue there. Sails around nicely. But otherwise, I think that bridge looks all right. So I'll just have to sort that bit out, but I'm going to move on to the bridge over the bay. Okay, so this is this bridge. Things are, again, a little tight. I think rolling stock that's longer than this might struggle. Just in a few places. The track's now a bit bouncy, so it's going to have to be glued down to the bridge. You can see it's made this coach completely derail. But it does get round, and so things are a bit close and a bit tight. Might just need to just chop things down a little bit, but otherwise, happy days. Right then, I've solved the problem with the bridges. The first one is I have just filed down a little nick here, just so I can push the bridge slightly more that way. And if I get a coach, I'm going to show you. Now passes by, no problem. Runs through the other end, no issue. So those are the problems that are all solved until we get something like free length trying to run on here. In which case I may have to come back and shorten the size of these piers. But we don't have any Mark III stock at the moment, so we don't have to worry about that just yet. The road bridge, you can see I have moved the pier in. Here's a little bit of a gap here, but that can be covered by a little bit of scenery. So I think that should be okay. Once it's all blended in, just look like a very narrow road bridge going over there. So yeah, that's that really. I mean, I've got these harbour walls I said about for fixing, but that's just a simple case of gluing them on. So I can do that. I can then work on the tunnel mouths. They all need gluing in position. And then yeah, this layout, I mean, we just got to go over a few issues with the track work, such as here, but it might just be a case of just cleaning the points. Once we're happy that everything runs, we'll start working on the scenics. So that is how far we've got with the boys' N-Gage layout. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you're an N-Gage modeler, I hope it's been useful to you, or any modeler really, just get an idea of how to scratch build structures. So if you have liked it, please click the like button. If you want to make a comment, then please do make a comment. All this interaction helps boost the channel. And if you really want to help it, then click the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time. You're still here? Oh good. Maybe you'd like another video, or one of my playlists.